going to use a caravan to turn it into something else, like in my instance a car trailer, before you commit yourself to it, get underneath it and have a look at the way the chassis is made and where the main chassis rails are. In most caravans you'll find that the cross members are fairly light. In my case it's 50mm C-channel and it's a light gauge steel. But the main chassis rails, which run the full length down there and across the back, are 50 by 75 box steel. Great strength, and they're also in a perfect location. Just marked here where I'm going to put my ramps for the car to sit on, and for illustration purposes I'm just using this plywood. That's where they're going to go, and you can see that the chassis rail is right underneath where the load of the car is going to go. So this chassis is perfect for what I'm going to use it for, and even though I already had it as a caravan, I checked it with a tape measure first, because there's no point doing all this work then finding out the rails are in the wrong spot. This outside framework is very light and is not really necessary, so it'll go, and I'll probably put a new double rail of 25 by 25 square tube down the sides to keep the car on the trailer and to give it more rigidity. The very first step in making the steel framing for this caravan sleepover is to make sure that the caravan is level widthways and lengthways. That makes it easy on myself, because any piece of steel that I put in, I've only got to get it level and I know it'll be parallel with everything else, or I can check it for uprightness, and that way I know everything will be square and it won't look like some hick made it. Some of you mechanical worrywarts may have noticed that I'm only using fairly light 20mm by 20mm square tube for the framing of this sleepover, with the exception of this one post here, which will take the main weight, and I've made that 25 square. The reason I've been able to do that here is this is an open section and there's no wall on it, but on the top and most of the other places the framing has to be the same thickness as what the timber walls are on the caravan, and they're made out of this 20 by 50 maple. So I've got to match the wall thickness, and that's why I'm using only 20mm square tube. I am putting tabs in place so that I can use some of the timber for framing just to hold the sheeting. But that's the reasoning behind the size of the tubing that I'm using in this framing. both of the steel side frames for the sleepover are tacked together, so I'm going to take them out, fully weld them up before I put them back in and start joining the whole thing together. I've got both steel frames for the sleeper sides back on the caravan. Things are starting to take shape, and you can see how I've tied the framing into the timber work, and I've also tied the steel framing with long screws going through the framing to the door jamb, and it's tied on the outside. This section here, pardon the foot, I'm holding two cameras, that section will be open, and then from that blue horizontal bar up will be where the bunk is, and that will be inside the cabin. So you can get a much better idea now of how the cabin's going to look. I've put tabs on the frame to hold pieces of timber to help with the adhesion of the new wall panelling on the top halves. Now I can get on with the construction of the steel frame for the bed. In starting to build the bed framing, it makes sense to take out the piece of the floor here where the car's going to go. But I'm not going to remove the whole of the timber floor yet. I've deliberately left it here as long as I can because it's a lot easier to walk on rather than over the open steel chassis of the car trailer. So I'll just take out this section here, and that'll allow me to do the construction work that I need to here and yet still have something to stand on.